What's going on, dudes? Welcome back to proper Grand Prix World and to Arrows for another pre-season preamble ramble. We're about to embark on the 2005 season. We have again come out on top of Das Pile, and Pedro Diniz picked up his first ever World Championship, which we are all super happy about, obviously. Yeah, everything's good. We have continued to dominate Formula One. Number one in the Constructors' Championship, a 1-2 for our drivers in reverse order within the Drivers' Championship. A bit of a sketchy season for Fisico, but Diniz was on the beat almost every beat. I've improved my top score. Right then, let's do our usual business. We'll take a look at the news really quick. Yeah. Montemini will retire. Nobody cares, Montemini. Nobody cares. Let's see who's where, shall we? First of all, looking at our own team, it is Giancarlo Fisichella's final season with the team, and we have a decision to make. Obviously, he's picked up, I believe, 2 championships with us in his time. He's now an excellent driver, as is... Look at Diniz's stats. Look at that. That's awesome. Yeah, he's a 2-time world champion now. 153 races with 21 wins and 296 points to his name. Pedro Diniz, 1-time world champion, 178 races, 17 wins and 377 points to his name. 21 fastest laps for Fisico, 18 for Diniz, 45 points races for Fisichella and 72 for Diniz. 4 pole positions to 1. We've not been particularly strong in qualifying, it's always been that way. He's currently raking in 5 million from us. We could afford to give him a pay rise, but the driver market is also open. And don't forget, Carl Eisen's been waiting in the wings for his opportunity to jump up into a race seat. He's a little bit old now, I think he's 34, yeah. He's the same age as Diniz, hasn't yet debuted. We could always give him a go. I'd be very interested to hear what you guys think. But starting out Arrows, we have Diniz and Fisichella again for another season. This is Pedro Diniz's 7th or 8th season with us now. I'm pretty sure that the entirety of this playthrough is going to have him in an Arrows seat. I've become too fond of him now. From the comments and emails I get, you guys have become very fond of him as well. So I'm pretty sure we'll keep him, although it's not concrete. Moving down the order a little bit, Benetton line up with Toru Takagi in the first seat, 2 seasons remain on his deal, and Shinji Nakano in the second seat. So it's an all-Japanese affair over at Benetton. Again, looking at the stats, Nakano is actually pretty handy. Takagi less so. It seems they've got a good pairing of drivers, but the wrong way round, although it does bring in quite a lot of money for them. Both of those guys obviously paying for their seats. Takagi now paying 9.7 million, that's a lot more than he was at the start of the game. And Nakano also paying 4 million now, which is significantly more than was the case at the start of the game. Jörg Müller continues as their test driver, although he's basically going to be in his final season. No, next season's his final season. Over at Ferrari, we have Alexander Wurz, who is available for talks. He's 31, Austrian, 2.2 million, and incredibly talented also. In fact, I believe more so than Fisichella. He was on our radar for a while. He's definitely on our radar still. A Wurz-Fisichella pairing would be incredibly strong, but that would mean, of course, sacrificing Diniz on the altar of common sense. Celso Moreira, in his 3rd season now in Formula 1, is with Ferrari still, 2nd driver role. His skill set is actually coming along fairly nicely. I think he's gained a point. That's pretty good considering where Ferrari have been finishing. He is moving forward, which is encouraging. Frentzen lines up in the test seat still. He's there till 2008, which basically means he's out of the game for us now. 2008 is the final season, and I don't think he'll still be driving at that point. I think he'll retire. Moving on to Jordan, Juan Pablo Montoya has gained some skill points at last. He's still their number one driver for reasons best known only to them. 29 years old, $87,310 going into his bank each year. Not sure he's entirely deserving of it, although he has had 5 points races to his name so far, so he's going in the right direction. He's just a little bit old. Johnny Herbert, speaking of old, 40, British, 5.4 million. Going his way. If you remember their relative performance levels, it seems really odd to me that Johnny Herbert is earning more than 5 times what Juan Pablo Montoya was, but never mind. Again, a very talented driver, but that comes with the experience. 241 races to his name. He's not really of any interest to us, and he is in contract until 2008, so he will be 43 at least before he retires. Now that takes me back. It used to be quite common for drivers to retire in their mid-40s, not anymore. Ricardo Zonta, the Brazilian, not quite as young as his photo suggests there, 28 years old. He's on more money than Juan Pablo Montoya is in the race seat, and has gained no skill points because no one's let him near a race drive. He could have been quite promising, but it was not to be. Over at McLaren, David Coulthard and Mika Hakkinen, that classic pairing, reunited again. Equal number one drivers, with Coulthard bringing in 8.8 million. Very talented, but he's not quite on the level of our guys, actually. But that's mainly a morale issue. Obviously, McLaren being in the doldrums a little bit the last few seasons. Mika Hakkinen is just phenomenal, but he's also phenomenally expensive at 12 million a season, 36 years old now, and he's on a 5-season deal at McLaren in that equal number one driver role. His contract is up 2008, which means he's also basically out of the picture for us. Johnny Newhouse is king of the hill over at Minardi, 33 years old, one-time world champion, 15.6 million. I don't know where Giancarlo Minardi found that kind of money, but Godspeed to you, sir. Again, incredibly highly skilled driver. But Fisichella is in the same ballpark and a fraction of the cost. One thing I'm really proud of about this playthrough, actually, is how it is stood as testament that you don't need to waste money chasing the best drivers. It's really a technical sport rather than a person-focused sport. Nevertheless, he does have a home in F1, and I'm sure he'll have one. Minardi was a strange choice for him, and next season is his final. Oh, sorry, this season is his final season, actually. So he is someone that we could hire should we wish. Luca Badoa will be teaming with him. He must be older than God. No, 34 years old. 160,000 a year for him. So obviously, what they're spending on Newhouse, they're saving on Badoa. 40 races to his name, with 14 points finishes. That's a pretty good ratio, actually, for someone who's been in below-average drives. Lauren Redon and his ridiculous hair, with 8 races to his name, takes up the Minardi test seat. I'm just thinking that, yeah, it is. He swung back round. He starts as the Minardi test driver, and he's found himself there again. Unlucky. Over at Prost, the teaming of Marini and Tuero will continue for at least 2 more seasons. Not really much to say about either of those guys, except for me, Tuero is the stronger of the two. His skill set actually looks really good for a pay driver. Marini less so, and he costs more money. Damon Hill is in the test role there, 44 years old. He will be 48 before he retires. But you know, that's fine. Everyone loves a bit of Damon. Why they would have such a talented man in a test seat and then put Marini in a number one driver role when they're paying his wages anyway, God only knows. But at this rate, they deserve to go bankrupt. Over at Sauber, one of my favoured driver pairings actually for this season, Jean Alesi and Mika Salo, 2 veterans of the sport. 40 years old is Alesi, 10.3 million bankage for him. And again, incredibly talented, incredibly experienced. His weak point is speed, which wasn't actually his weak point in real Formula 1. So his skills have obviously shifted a little bit down the years, but he's quite happy to be where he is. He is on the market should we want him, and I was always a big Jean Alesi fan, but 10 million is a bit of a stretch, to be quite frank. Mika Salo, Arrow's old boy there, 3 million he's receiving, so he's had a bit of a pay increase actually to go over to Sauber. 38 years old now. His skills have come on since he left us. Obviously, he was a bad fit. At Arrows, he had a very difficult season, the first season, when normally we would expect to see him outshine Diniz. He paled in comparison to him, and that's why we didn't retain him. And it seems to have been a mutually beneficial agreement to terminate his deal. He's gathered skills and gathered pace pretty admirably elsewhere. He's now got 17 points races to his name, which is a lot more than he would have got with us had we kept him for another 2-3 seasons, I fear. He's on the driver market as well. We could always reunite the old band. Again, another mysterious test driver. Ralf Schumacher signed to 2008 as the Sauber test driver. Not much to say really. I always found Ralf Schumacher pretty underwhelming and very accident prone, so even if he was available, I'm not entirely sure I'd go for him, particularly because his concentration, as in real life, is too low really to offer a consistent performance level. Jan Magnussen back as team lead at Stewart. His skill set has gone up, but not in the key areas. He's good in wet weather, he's got good concentration, so he's not going to bin it, but his speed and skill and overtaking are far, far too low for a 31-year-old with 153 Grand Prix to his name, the same number as Giancarlo Fisichella. Yeah, it's not really encouraging. He's only got 2 points races in the length of that career. I think he's someone that, if we put him in our car, he could probably do quite well. But again, it would be the car delivering, not him, I think. He's also not on the market until next season, unlike Emmanuel Collard, who finds himself in the second driver's seat. I'm just surprised to see he's 33 years old. He too has ridiculous hair. No excuse for it, to be quite frank. His concentration has gained a point, but he's still not really worthy of a second driver's seat, particularly when you've got someone the skill of Jarno Trulli in your test seat. Trulli's another driver that I've got a lot of fondness for. 2.2 million he costs, and his skill set doesn't look great, but he's very quick to develop if you get him in the right seat, and we are that seat. Over at Tyrrell, it's Rosset and Sarrazin on the pairing, and Rosset, by God, has his skill set gone up. He's still a paid driver, 4.3 million, and I think he's been at Tyrrell for most of his career now. I think he did a stint at Stewart briefly, but he left Tyrrell and came back. Only 1 points race though, for a valuable 6 points. Sarrazin, 9 races to his name and no skills to speak of, although he is one of the more handsome of the unskilled drivers. Patrick Rainbow, however, looks like he's been in a boxing match too many or had a serious crack at an international rugby career. 31-year-old Frenchman. He's on a 4-season deal apparently, but that hasn't been going well for him. He's gained nothing, absolutely nothing from his time at Tyrrell, which is unfortunate. Over at Williams, pretty strong pairing of Eddie Irvine and Michael Schumacher, reuniting that old band. 10.4 million for Irvine. Again, he's one of the top 4 or 5 drivers in the sport at this point, and I think that still roughly stands, although arguably Fisichella is pretty equally matched to him at this point. Michael Schumacher, king of the hill, best driver in the game still. I think give it a few seasons and maybe Fisichella or Diniz could actually challenge him for that if we keep progressing the way we have been, but nevertheless, he's bringing in 30.8 million a season, which means we won't be touching him. John Fellows, 30, British. He's on a 2-season deal as a test driver at Williams. No race starts to his name, bit of a shame. I'm still kind of tempted to pick him up eventually, just because, you know, there are not enough British rookies coming through. However, no one else has taken a chance on him either, and yeah, it's hard to say really if he's got the mettle at this point. It really is. And down in Loserland, there is no one particularly interesting, but Panis and Barrichello remain retired. So the driver market isn't hugely wide open actually. We could re-sign Fisichella, we could promote Carl Eisen, we could go after Wurtz or Moriera. There's Coulthard on Newhouse as an outside chance. If we want a veteran, we've got Alessio Salo. Irvine's also available. For me, really, it's down to Fisichella, Vurt, or Moriera, actually. Maybe Eisen as well, actually. I'm a big fan of rewarding loyal test drivers, and I always have been. I'd love to hear what you guys feel about that. But while you're considering, let us take a look at the sponsor situation. See who we're with, see who's powering who. So we got a full setup there. We are now on Ford Works Power, of course. Still Playlife title sponsor, Goodyear Shod Car, and we're using Mobile One fuels and lubrication. Pretty good range of sponsors on the bill there. However, let's take a look over in Engine Town and see who's got the winning formula this season. So, we have Williams and Jordan are both powered by Ferrari. I believe Williams are the works partner in that particular arrangement, and Jordan have a partner deal. Over at Mercedes-Benz, there is a works contract for Ferrari. I don't know if Minardi are a works partner as well. I believe it's possible. And Prost line up as a partner. No one has taken Peugeot up on their offer, which is kind of a shame. The engine is relatively underpowered and unreliable, but elsewhere it's pretty solid. Mugen Honda have produced an excellent engine this year. Sauber and Tyrrell are both partners there. Looking at the stats, you know, the Mugen Honda engine is better, in my humble opinion, than the Mercedes-Benz, and comparable to the Ferrari. Ford, we are a works partner, as are McLaren. Benetton are a partner for Ford. I think on paper they've produced the best engine, actually. The most balanced and the second best engine looks to me to be the Mugen Honda, but the Ford definitely is probably the one to have. Weakness, of course, being reliability, but we can soon develop ourselves out of that particular hole. I think those who switch to Ferrari might find themselves a little bit disappointed this season, and Mercedes, actually, that's the worst engine they've produced in this playthrough. Looking at Mechachrome, one customer for them, which is Stewart, and again, Mechachrome is always a solid engine. I have no problem with Mechachrome engines in this game. I think they're always pretty respectable, and Heart are Heart, and no one wants them. Two empty slots remain, where we could be joined by Toyota or Renault at any point. Over in Thailand, again, the tyre was very closely matched. Very closely matched. And it's always been hard to try and figure out who's actually got the best rubber. Looking at it, though, I'm going to go out on a limb and say, for full wets, it's definitely Bridgestone, but for everything else, I would say Goodyear is actually the rubber to have. That would make for a very interesting season, actually, as there's a performance differential between races run under full wet conditions and those run under normal normal dry conditions. Goodyear are works partners to ourselves and Williams, whereas Tyrrell are a customer, Stewart are a partner, Benetton are a partner. Over at Bridgestone, Prost and Jordan both partner Bridgestone. Ferrari have a works contract, Minardi are a customer, and McLaren are also a works partner. Customer tyres for Sauber as well from Bridgestone. Looking at it, yeah, Williams and Jordan both have works deals with Ferrari. And Minardi does have a works deal with Mercedes-Benz. I mean, to me, that's the standout. Take away from the engines. That and the fact that Sauber and Tyrrell have an excellent partner power unit this season. I think, particularly for Tyrrell, that was a very smart decision to make, and it has paid off. Hopefully, they receive developed units as the season goes on. The only real downside for me about Mugen Honda, aside from the fact that they don't offer works deals, is that they're often quite slow on the development side. You don't get many upgrades in season. But should they get one or two, they could remain very competitive on the powertrain front. Nothing really to say on the tyre front, except that we would obviously expect to see Ferrari do relatively well in wet weather conditions. McLaren also, but aside from that, I think if we take it to be a tyre formula, Williams are going to be our closest rival in the dry, assuming their engine works well enough with the rest of the car, if the car's strongly designed. They're on a Ferrari Works deal, so actually they could be lacking in power a little bit. They might lack the grunt to really take the fight to us, but it's interesting that Schumacher in particular is going to be on the inferior wet weather tyre, and that should sort of nullify the dominance we see from him on full wet races. Over in fuel land, McLaren and Ferrari have works deals with Shell. We have a works deal with Mobil. Tyrrell are their partner. Williams have a partner deal with Texaco. Minardi have a customer deal with Agip. Stewart are a partner of Agip. And Total partner with Benetton, as with Sauber. Esso have no partners. Repsol and Petrobras also have no friends. Maybe they smell. Jordan have a partner deal with Elf, and Prost are a customer. As things go on, Prost are looking particularly weak this season. Not just in terms of driver lineup, but in terms of the decisions they've made and the partners they've picked. Looking at it, I think again Mobil was probably the partner to go for. They have actually, they've outdeveloped. As a compromise choice, they've outdeveloped Shell, in my opinion. I think it's. I think really you're looking towards teams like Esso and Agip and Texaco that specialise in one area for a clear advantage in certain track conditions. But for an overall balanced choice, I still think Mobil 1 is the best option out there. So we've made the right call there. Taking a look at everything else, it seems that our technology is kind of lacking this season. That could be a problem that bites us in the bum. We've got some reliability concerns on the clutch and the hydraulics, and we've not produced an amazingly strong car. This could be we've had some kind of developmental hangover from last season. There is always a random element behind the scenes, and we could actually be in for a closer season than we have been previously. I'm pretty sure that would liven this Let's Play up a little bit. Additionally, our supercomputer is now out of date a little bit, so we will order ourselves an update to that to make sure we stay relevant. And in the next episode, when we begin the season proper, we're going to take a look at getting ourselves a wind tunnel. Because we can. Guys, thanks so much for joining me. It's really cool to be back. I'm off work all week, so you're going to get a lot of Grand Prix World, both this one and the new Minardi playthrough. I hope you guys are as stoked about that one as I am. You take care of yourselves, and join me for the 2005 season, probably tomorrow. Have a good one. See you later.